What we're doing today is a MIG gun holder build, and we're basically going to make a little bracket that you put your MIG gun in when you're not using it, and we're going to fasten it to the table or whatever you're working on. This is basically the step-by-step process of how we're going to do this. And what I'll do is I'll draw it first and put it in the DXF file. And what I'll do is I'll put the DXF file in the video description of where you can get it, so if you want to actually do this, you can do it. But for right now, let's get to the step-by-step process of what we're going to do before we look at the actual drawing. So first thing we're going to do is draw it, and I already drew it, and actually I already cut it out, so I have one sitting right there, and I already know how I want to change it a little bit. So we're going to draw it, then we're going to go to the cutter, download it into the cutter. Ours is going to be a plasma system, so we're going to put it into the plasma system and nest it onto a plate wherever you're going to cut it. We'll cut it, then we're going to clean it up with a wire wheel and then probably a flat disc. Then we're going to go into a press brake operation and bend it. I'm going to send it into paint, and then I'm going to end up putting a magnet on the bottom that you can get off of Amazon. I think it's got a 1/4 of an inch threaded part on there, so we'll probably cut it at like 3/8. And the one that I already did, I did it like 5/8. So we're going to make that hole smaller so it's not as sloppy when you want to put a magnet on. That way you can take it on and off. So what we'll do now is I'll take a look at the one I did first, and then we'll go into I'll blow the drawing up on the screen, and we'll take a look at the drawing. Alright, here's a quick look at the prototype that I did, and I just put a welding symbol on there, did a rectangle, put some lines in here to show you where the brakes are, and the general design is for this right here. You take your MIG gun, put it in there like that, and then it's ready to go when you need to MIG weld. One thing I'm going to change is, like I said, I did a 5/8 hole on the bottom. I'm going to do a 3/8 hole so you can get a 1/4 of an inch bolt through there with these magnets that they sell on Amazon, so that we can magnetize it to the table or the workpiece that you're using. So what we're going to do now is get into the build. I'll pull the drawing up, we'll look at the drawing, and then we'll go download to the machine and continue on with the MIG gun holder build project. Alright, so this is our AutoCAD file. All I did was do a rectangle. I cut it in the proper lengths. I put another rectangle in here where it'll cut out to both locate where the bends are going to be, and also I'm hoping, I did do another one that I want to try and bend in a vise. So if you don't have a press brake, you can bend this over in a vise, which I'm going to try here as soon as we get out of the lab with one that I did and kind of screwed up, but these slots are still there. So we'll try and bend it in a vise, just make sure you can do that. I think you can. And the one thing I want to change on this is this hole size right here. I did 5/8 to put a bolt through, and I think what I'm going to do is go to 3/8 of an inch. Because that's what I found. The magnets on Amazon were 1/4 of an inch bolts, so I want to make sure that I can put that 1/4 of an inch in there. It's not as sloppy as 5/8. So what we're going to do is come in here, and what we'll do is put another hole in here. We're going to go diameter 0.375, enter, and get rid of this. So that's a 3/8 hole now, which a 1/4 of an inch bolt will go through quite nicely. So there's the drawing. Let's go put it in the AutoCAD. We got to put it in the AutoCAD, put it in the plasma, but before that, let's try and bend the one that I screwed up and make sure we can do it in a vise, because we might have to make this thinner up here so that we can actually bend it in a vise. But let's go try it first. I think it'll be alright, but we'll do a test run and see if it works. Alright, this is the one I kind of screwed up on, but I threw it up in the vise. We want to make sure that we can bend this in the vise by hand rather than use a press brake in case you don't have a press brake. So that's why we put these slots in it. And you can see it bends right over. If I can get it to stand up, there you go. So what we'll do now is the other one, we want a little bit slighter of a bend, because we're not going 90 degrees. Actually, we went a little bit past 90 degrees, so it leans back a little bit. So we're just going to give this one a little, maybe a little more. That might have been too much. Yeah, that was a little much. But at the end of the day, you can bend it in the vise if you want to. That's why we put them slots in there. It doesn't look half bad. But now we're going to go into loading this file into the plasma, cutting out a new one, and going through the whole process of bending it with a press brake. So here we are at the cutter. We're going to go to download. And we got MIG torch holder open. And in all my DXF files, I always put them right at the 0, 0 for the XY, and you can see it's right down here, 0, 0, 2, 2. So there it is. There's our new 3/8 hole. We're going to go up here to burn it. Hit OK, because I already did the parameters for 1/8 inch mild steel. Next job preview. This is the screen where it shows you what the machine's doing while it does it. So as it's cutting it, it shows little blue dots going around. So what we're going to do now is nest this thing. I got a piece of metal on here that's got cuts all over the place, so we're going to put a 0 in where I think it'll fit, and then we'll do a test run, and then we'll burn it. Alright, so we had a failed program here, and what happened is when it failed, they put big long cuts all over this sheet, so I'm just trying to get rid of it. So we're going to nest this thing right down here on the edge. We'll put our 0 here. And what we'll do now is we'll do a test run, make sure that this thing's going to not go off the sheet or hit that line that's on the top there. So we're on to our test run. We are all set. Let's burn it in. All right, we just burned it in. You can see there it is. On a flat piece of steel. We're about to make this thing go 3D. I guess it's not 3D, just bend it, I guess. But first we're going to go clean it up, wire wheel, and then flap disc. So let's take a look at the wire wheel and the flap disc, and then we'll clean this up. So next we're going to put this thing in a vise, and I'm going to hit it with that top wire wheel there, and then with a flap disc to make sure there's no slag. Depending on what cutter you use, plasma is going to leave a slag. Laser not so much, and water jet not so much, but plasma will leave some slag, so we got to clean this baby up. So let's clean it up, and then we'll get ready to do our press brake operation. Alright, here's a look at our blank after I ground it. Just clean it up a little bit. You can see the welding symbols right there, and these are where our two brakes are going to be. We're going to start with this bottom one here, try and get it to 85 degrees. I started setting up a program in the press brake, and I thought nobody's going to set an actual program up for this, so I'm just going to do it the way I would do it if I didn't set up a program, just manually. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is get a slight pinch on this down here, and then I'm going to put a square on it, make sure it's square, and then we will go from there. So let me get it pinched in the press brake, and we'll go from there. So what I did here is I put slight pressure on this plate, and then I tapped it with a hammer on the line until it got perfectly 90 degrees. What we're going to do now is bend this up, and then we'll compare it to the other one that we already got done. Looks about right. Let's go match it up with the one we already got done. Here it is next to the first one we did, so you can see it's pretty close to 85 degrees. And what we'll do now is bend that top one the same way. We'll get it in there, get it wedged, square it up, and then we're going to go to 125 degrees. Alright, we got her pinched, bounce it around a little bit. It's right on the money at 90 degrees. So we're going to bump this, and we'll go check it with the other part. See how close we are. This is probably going to take more than one attempt here. And it looks pretty good. Let's check it out. Alright, so I've set them next to each other, and you can see the one we just did is just a touch up. So we just got to bump that down a little bit more. If you wanted to not have to do it this way where you're just kind of doing it, then checking, then doing it, and then checking, that's when you would write a program. But most people don't have those capabilities, so we're just going to do it the old-fashioned manual way. So let's go bump it one more time, and we'll check it again. So we're going to give this a little bump. you're going to get a little spring back, so you don't want to go too far. It's no big deal if you go too far, you can always put it back. But. Alright, we just bumped it a little bit, looks pretty good. We're going to go into paint now. I'm not going to film myself painting, but we're going to paint this, and we'll install the magnet. That'll be the next step. I'll show you installing the magnet. It's pretty simple, and then we'll wrap this baby up. Moving on. So here we are with the magnet. It's on the table, and you can see over here we got a lock washer, a regular flat washer. Here's our unit. There's the hole. We're going to put it on there, bolt it down. So what I'll do is I'll put it on there, get it fit up. We'll take a look at the back side, and we'll tighten up the nut. All right, here's a look at the back. It takes a 10 socket, so it's metric. So we snugged it up. It's actually pretty tight. There it is. Let's install the MIG gun and see if it is functional. All right, we just got done welding. We didn't really, but boom, there it is. It works. So that completes the build on the, I guess it's a MIG gun holder. That's all we got for today. Thanks for watching and subscribing to TV Weld, and we'll see you next time.